7:06 GMT. This is Weekend from the BBC World Service with Alex Ritson, and with me for the rest of the programme until 07:30 GMT, our guests, Leslie Riddoch, writer and columnist for the Scotsman newspaper and broadcaster. Good morning again, Leslie.
Hello there.
And with me here in London, Jonathan Ball, Professor of Virology, the study of viruses at the University of Nottingham. Good morning again, Jonathan.
Good morning.
More from both of you later. Now, a couple of weeks ago on this programme, we discussed the persecution of the Baha'is in Yemen. Houthi leaders there have called the Baha'i faith satanic, and many of its leaders are on trial accused of apostasy and spying. One of them, Hamad bin Hadara, has been in prison since 2013 and was sentenced to death in January this year. We've been in touch with someone who's experienced some of the persecution. He didn't want to give his name, so we voiced over his answers, and we will call him Ahmed. He told me about his life before the Houthis took political control in the capital, Sana'a.
As a normal Yemeni citizen, I was living a very normal life, happy life. My kids go to school, I do my job, my wife have her job. So it seems that from the time the Houthi group came to power in 2014 in Sana'a, they started slowly by slowly in a systematic way to trouble us as Baha'is. And it was growing and escalating step by step. They started arresting a few of us, interrogating us about our faith, and 2015 it went slowly. Then again in August 2016 they arrested a lot of Baha'is. They stayed this time for a longer period of time in detention. At that point there was a lot of international pressure that helped many of the Baha'is to be released, and when they released most of us, and I was among them, they forced us to write some pledges that we will not do our cultural activities and we will not help in trying to build our community.
They think you're Satanists, don't they?
Yes, exactly. You mentioned the word that the leader of the Houthis in March 2018, he had a speech, he mentioned that the Baha'is are satanic groups, and he used a lot of hatred words that increased the level of hatred in the Yemeni community, which it reflected in the media in Yemen. They wrote very bad reports about us. They used to condemn the Baha'is in the Friday prayers in the mosque, and they made a lot of fake news that we are satanic groups and they need to fight them.
An accusation like that, Satanists, well, it sounds like something that you might say 200, 300 years ago, but it doesn't feel like a modern day criticism.
No, Alex, exactly, you mentioned the point. If you go back to the history and you see the Iranian regime, how they deal with the Baha'is in Iran and persecuted them, they use the same terminology. So it's very obvious that this ideology that the Houthis are dealing with, the Baha'is in the Yemen, it is coming from outside. It is exported from Iran to the Houthis, and they are using the same terminology, and they are just not knowing that these words that they are saying, it's something that if any modern world will hear about it, they will laugh.
What do you think the real reason is? Do they really believe you're Satanists, or is there another underlying reason?
The problem of politics is this, that since the Houthis are in a war and the Iranians are backing them with different methods, so if Iran tells the Houthis, please, we want you to persecute the Baha'is, then sure, they will do that.
You still have family and friends in Yemen. Are you still in touch with them?
Yes, I'm always in touch with them, and just to tell you a sad news that I got a few hours back. I had a very close friend that he was just detained a few hours ago, and he was just on the street going to the market, and two armed cars attacked him, and he was blindfolded and took to an unknown place.
What do you think will happen to him?
Actually, we have for now 6 Baha'is detained in the Houthis' detentions. Unfortunately, we cannot know what is their situation, and now with my new friend, he is number 7. So unfortunately, nothing can be imagined what will happen. But the main thing we could ask through your program, Alex, is if the international community don't step in, I think the history will repeat itself, which would be very sad. And when I'm talking about the history point here, I'm talking about what happened to the Baha'is in the late 70s and early 80s persecution in Iran, and many Baha'is were executed and they were sentenced to long terms in jail.
A man we're calling Ahmed talking to me from an undisclosed location earlier this week. Jonathan, Leslie, I've got time for 20 seconds from each of you. It leaves you feeling pretty depressed, that one.
It does. There's persecution everywhere, and I was reminded of the ongoing issues in Myanmar with the Rohingyas, Muslims, and you just wonder where it will ever stop, if it will ever stop.
Leslie?
Well, everything we've heard in this programme is about small nations that are being effectively like puppets, driven by the ideas and ideologies of larger absent powers. And that's a tragedy for the world too.
Leslie Riddoch from the Scotsman newspaper. Jonathan Ball, virologist at the University of Nottingham. You have been fantastic guests. I really appreciate both of you making time to spend with me and the audience of the BBC World Service this morning. This is the weekend programme. Thank you for your time, and we will be back with you tomorrow here on the BBC.